Sezen Hocam, one more time, I'd like to extend our appreciation for kindly accepting our offer to give us a talk on dialogic teaching in ELT. But first thing first, let me briefly introduce who actually, Associate Professor Dr. Sezen Arslan is. She's actually quite prolific, hardworking, and somebody that I really appreciate as a colleague. And pardon, she holds a degree from Hacettepe University, and currently she is working at Bandırma Onyedere University in the field of translation and interpreting. Sezon Hocam, I'd like to keep it short, and I'd like to hand it over to you. So the stage is yours, Hocam.
Okay, thank you very much for this nice introduction. So hello all. Today I would like to talk about dialogic teaching in ELT. So let's start. Actually, you are the first to announce this, and today actually I had this news from TÜBİTAK, our National Council of Science, and our project was accepted to be granted by TÜBİTAK, and so it will be held between 2 and 5 September 2024, and our instructors are very esteemed. So in order to apply for this project, you can just use this website. And this project is appropriate for third and fourth grade of BA students. And actually, you can get access to details while you are visiting this website here. So just visit this website to have the details, and it will be about dialogic teaching in ELT for BA students who are studying in ELT departments in Turkey, regardless being you public or foundational universities. So today, my table of contents will include this. So today, first I will start with dialogues and conversation, the difference between these two terms, and then I will move on to pillars of dialogic teaching. Then as a previous EFL teacher, I will delve into EFL teachers' problems, and in the end, actually, I will provide some humble solutions. And you are also provide humble opinions as well. Okay, so actually we understood this process very clearly from the COVID-19. Humans are Hocam, I think there is one speaker. Who is speaking here? Okay, muted. Thank you very much. So actually, we understood very well from this COVID-19 process. Actually, we are very social beings. We understood it clearly from that process, and we need each other. So we cannot be locked down. We cannot be kept in isolation. And so this is viable for language learning and teaching as well. We can say that language develops in a social environment, but we can learn and teach language from each other. Okay, so let's delve into this dialogue and conversation difference, because this is a very important aspect of dialogic teaching. So I place it in the first slide. Okay, if you look at this dialogue between these two friends, it says just, hey, how are you doing? Good, just busy with work lately. How about you? Yeah, me too, trying to finish this project by deadlines. Oh, deadlines. So this goes like that, But we cannot say this is a dialogue, as the name suggests of today's topic, because it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't have purpose. It's like saying, hey, hi, how are you? Bye, that kind of thing. So it doesn't have a purpose, actually. It doesn't have a meaning in it. Maybe we can call it like a small chat. Maybe we can call it like chat, but it doesn't mean a dialogue as well. But if you look at this one, for example, here at the right-hand side, you see a picture. For example, person one points to the picture. Interesting photo. Yeah, definitely short there. What do you see? Story there. Sorry. What do you see? Well, the woman doesn't seem too happy. Actually, all of the story begins here because that person, actually person two, through no smile, maybe it's in just sadness or something more. He or she pushes the person one to become it more dialogic, because he or she says something more, question mark. Maybe she's lost in thought or worried about something. So that person too actually wants us to think about that woman. Why is she unhappy? Why is she sad? So here, this question is very important. Something more, because we need more evidence. Maybe she is unhappy because blah, blah. Maybe she is sad because blah, blah. So the because is very important here. And that makes the dialogic teaching. For example, a weather forecaster may predict that it will rain tomorrow based on data collected from weather satellites. So maybe you realize so far that while weather forecasters announce the weather, they will say, for example, or they say like, tomorrow the weather will be rainy because there are rain clouds, or tomorrow will be foggy because of this evidence. So they need scientific evidence to reach a decision. And this is very important for us to make the things dialogic. For example, in order to make it more clarifying for you, I think she's happy. Let's imagine that I asked one of my students, let's look at the picture and tell me whether she is happy. Is she happy? For example, this is my question. Is she happy? So obviously this is a he or she yes or no question. I think she's happy. And the students say, yes, she is happy, or no, she isn't happy. But this is not dialogic actually, because it's obviously a yes-no question. So here, the expected answer is this. I think she's happy because she smiles and sings. So this because part is very important. And now we are trying to get it more dialogic. So then we can say the first principle is to make use of dialogues to promote classroom talk. So I don't want to say that conversations are not essential, conversations are not necessary, but dialogues make it more dialogic actually. So dialogues which are based on evidence, which are based on not yes, no questions, but like say how, why, what questions. So these questions are more valuable. But of course, in order to initiate the initial dialogues, or let's say initial, or in order to make some ice-breaking activities, of course, conversations can be used as well. So as a summary of the first principle, we can say conversations don't have a purpose. Like it's saying yes, no, or hi, hey, hello, what's the weather like? It's sunny, that kind of small chats. Conversations don't go anywhere because they don't have a purpose, and dialogues trigger questioning like how, why, when, what. These questions are very important to trigger the questioning, and dialogues develop on others' responses. So we need other people to build our dialogues as well. So in order to move on the second principle, we can say that the second principle is about supporting environment, motivation, or engagement, let's say. So we need to, as teachers, we need to create engagement, motivation. So we need to respect the flow. As feature teachers, prospective teachers, we need to welcome our students with open arms. This means that we will not make any judgments about their answers, especially in the EFL, ESL classroom. So how can we achieve this? Maybe some can be angry at me, but we can make use of limited L1 use, especially for the beginner level of students, or maybe the younger students, like kids maybe. So in order to draw an analogy between this and that meme, sometimes teachers worry a lot about L1 use, but it is not that necessary because students can use L1 in a very, very limited way. And this limits can be established by the teacher as well. But we should tell the students that foreign language is not that foreign. And there are some, common words like robot, like television, like ambulance, like police. Actually, these words are very common between Turkish and English. If we bring this into other languages as well, we can maybe find out many more words. For example, French and Turkish, maybe English and Italian, because they are coming from the same roots, same families. So the first thing first is to teach our students that foreign language is not so foreign. Everyone can learn that language, because we need to motivate. Because generally there is the resistance towards learning foreign language, unfortunately, in Turkey. So we need to motivate our students because they can be scared of learning language. And actually the key is positive, being positive. So positiveness is very important. Positive feedback should be given. Positive feedback, constructive feedback should be given. So we can congratulate our students. For example, they did something good. For example, they provided a response that was expected by us. And we need to say, not just, well done or bravo, but we need to explain why you say well done or why you say bravo. Bravo because you did blah, blah right. Well done because. So because is very important. So you need to justify your clauses. You need to justify your arguments with your students as well. So because word, because explanation is very important. So positive feedback and clear instructions. Unfortunately, instructions are very problematic. Maybe they may seem very simple, but generally instructions can be problematic because sometimes actually in the very beginning of our profession, it is very hard to break them down into pieces. Actually, we will talk about it in the later slides. So clear instructions are very important here. And technology integration, actually, with the emergence of AI and with the emergence of multimedia, computers, etc., there are so many applications, online forms, and there are so many beneficial platforms to practice language. And Generation Z students love it very much. So we need to benefit from technology integration. So we can use them in the classroom, or maybe we can address our students to use them at their private platforms, like their houses, homes. Okay, so first principle was the difference between dialogue and conversation. The second principle was motivation. And the third principle, actually, it was the last, but the most important one, maybe reciprocality. Maybe the word can come to you like unfamiliar thing, but actually you can draw an analogy between reciprocality and English language teaching, like two-way streets, because reciprocality means giving and receiving or providing. So it's just one way, taking, giving. So we can say that reciprocality means mutual relationship. Okay, for example, this dialogue is taken from 8th grade textbook from the Team 6 Adventure. So the team is Adventures from 8th grade. And there reads a sentence like this: I think bungee jumping is more or less dangerous and challenging than canoeing, actually. The students here are expected to circle more or less dangerous depending on their own conditions. Of course, we need to first introduce canoeing and bungee jumping, but let's say that we did it. So after that, if we just want our students to circle more or less, for example, they circled more or less, and in order to make this activity more dialogic, actually, we need to come up with some further questions. For example, why did you decide this? Or what evidence do you have about canoeing? Or what evidence do you have about bungee jumping? So actually, we are here expecting our students to come up with some because questions or explaining their whys. here, the reasons, like their arguments. So this kind of question provided to our students, or in order to promote reciprocal talk, let's remember, maybe there are some newbies around us. Reciprocality, refers to mutuality, actually. So paraphrasing, rewarding students' utterances, like teacher, bathroom. The student said this sentence, for example. The teacher is expected to paraphrase, like, do you need to use a restroom? In full sentence. So here, actually, the teacher just paraphrased the students' words. Okay, now I want you to watch the video, and you can write your responses on the chat box, please, and just tell what the problem is. This video is very short, and there are many questions in this video. So in terms of the dialogic teaching, let's watch the video and just say what the problem is in terms of dialogic teaching. Oh, sorry. There was this video actually. Yes.
Hey, did you have a nice weekend? Yeah. Did you stay in town? Yep. Oh, did you go out? No. Did you stay home? Yeah. Oh, was it fun? Yeah, it was really fun. Great.
Okay. So tell me what the problem is, please. Yeah. Was it fun? So maybe if the questions remain in your mind, you just say, this type of questions limit the answers. Yes. Ömer, thank you very much for taking participation. Just short answers with repetition. Yes, no, yes. Let's look at the questions once more. Sorry. Did you have a nice weekend? Did you stay in town? Yes. Did you go out? Did you stay home? Was it fun? So actually, all of these questions require yes or no answers. So how could they be changed to promote meaningful interaction then? For example, instead of saying, did you have a nice weekend? What can we say? Did you have a nice weekend? How can we make it more dialogic then? Did you stay in town? Did you go out? Did you stay home? Was it fun? Yes. How was your last weekend? How question could be used? Can you tell us about your weekend? How did you feel then? Yes, very good. Thank you very much for your, or can you tell us about your weekend? Thank you very much. Yes. So.
Hey, did you have a nice weekend? Yeah. Did you?
Sorry.
Lisa, how was your weekend?
Sorry, here is the revised version. So let's see the revised version with becoming more dialogic.
And my weekend was awesome. Really? What did you do? I hung out with my family at my house. They all came over and we had dinner together and hung out for the day. That sounds great. How big is your family? I have one brother and he's married and they have 2 kids. Oh. And my parents. Oh, nice. Why did you get together? Was there a special celebration? Yeah, it was Father's Day this weekend. So yeah, a little family time. So what did you eat? Oh, I made a curry and rice. Oh, yum. Does your family like curry? Yeah, they do. My family just loves food, so they're happy for anything.
So everyone is happy at the end of this dialogue, because the questions are very open-ended, like how questions, when questions, and why questions. Okay, so after delving into these differences, actually, I want to move on to the implementation part, the kitchen of the profession, because generally teachers say, okay, you are talking about this dialogic teaching, but how can we implement this dialogic teaching in our contextual settings, actually? So my instructions never seem to work. I need to translate my instructions to Turkish to check my students' understanding. Teachers generally say. So any solution to this? Any solution to this? One of the teachers said, my instructions never seem to work. And I have to speak in Turkish. What do you suggest to this teacher? No suggestions? Simplify and revert. Yes, so let's see. Let's see. For beginner EFL students, actually, native language can be used, but in a very, very limited way. Maybe some common words can be, motivated here. Translanguaging, Rümeysa hocam says, the teacher can use body language somehow. Yes, actually, the responses are very correct. Thank you very much. And we can break the instruction into very, very small pieces, like instruction, first instruction, then we can come up with an action. We can just give the instruction and then we can come up with the action as well, like open the page. So I just say open the page and I will do it with my movements as well. Or look at the picture and then I'm opening the textbook, the related page, and then I draw my students' attention to that page. So instruction, action, instruction, action should be followed. Maybe if you're a novice teacher, actually you can try to record yourself as well while you are giving instructions, and maybe you can study on them later, because sometimes maybe we cannot realize that, but we can ask too many questions and maybe irrelevant questions can be asked, so we can just record ourselves and just study on them. And for example, in the first scenario, describing a picture, and this scenario is for A1 beginner level students. Look at the picture and tell me what you see. This statement is too broad, too wide. So just put it into pieces. How? So you are holding the textbook and you are opening the related page, and then you will say, just look at the picture in your book. Point to the person in the picture, and as a teacher, you will also point. Now, tell me what color shirt the person is wearing. Great. So feedback. Are there any other people in the picture? Tell me what you see about them. So one by one, step by step. So all the instructions should be simplified and reworded, and should be broken down into very, very smaller pieces actually. This was for A1. And this is for B1 and B2 intermediate students. Write a paragraph about your favorite food. This is again very broad, because, for example, if someone addresses a question like this to me right now, I cannot think of any favorite food. So we should make it into pieces again. How? Like this. Okay, write a sentence about the name of your favorite food. Just one sentence. We will tell our students to do this. And now tell me why you like this food. Write another sentence about the reason. So you see, one by one, step by step. So we are just proceeding like this. And at the end of the activity, we will say, can you describe the taste or smell of your food? Add more sentence to your paragraph. So we are addressing their senses, sight senses, maybe tasting senses, maybe smelling sentences, depending on our students and depending on our context. So we can arrange our instructions as well. And this is for upper level students, B2 or C1, or maybe more than this. So read the poem and write a critical analysis of its themes. Again, it doesn't matter. For example, our students could have a high level of proficiency, but again, they need to break the instructions into pieces. So here the instructions actually that go step by step. So it doesn't matter actually, because we are human beings and we need to go step by step in every detail actually. Okay. And other problems that we experience, for example, one of the teachers say, my teaching is dominated by my question and answer routines. Like, what is the weather like today? It's rainy. Is it rainy? Yes. Is it snowy? No. Is it sunny? No, for example. Do you like this? No. Do you like this? Yes. So this is just a yes, no, conversation. So any solution to this? Here are our solutions. We need to identify the moments when our questions are unnecessary. So remember, I just recommended you to record yourself and study on it. Maybe our questions are irrelevant. It could be, it can be natural actually. So we need to study on them. And use prompts, silence, pictures, and body language. Body language is very essential. But apart from that, silence is also very important. Sometimes we as teachers cannot be too patient, and we don't give our students enough time to answer our questions. So we need to be silent to some extent. We just address the question and we immediately want our students to reply back. So silence is very important. We need to be silent to some extent. And I will touch on the prompts in the later slide. And be more conscious about the questions you ask. We need to be economic, actually, in terms of the questions that we ask. So we need to come up with many questions because they can bore our students. Okay, here are the prompts. Prompts can be many actually, but I just included here two of them, like completion prompts, like fill in the blank type prompts. Here we try to elicit the students' responses, like, look, what do you call color pencils? For example, I'm holding the color pencils in my hand like this. We call them, then silence goes, we call them what? We call them what, for example, because I want them to say crayons or colored pencils, etc. This is completion prompt. And another type of prompt is distancing prompts, which refers to establishing a link with students' experiences. So I want my students to connect with each other right now. For example, after highlighting the definition crayons, I say, do you have crayons? Let's show them to me. Okay, they showed the crayons. And then I will say, what color are they? For example, red, blue, black. Okay, then I'm just assigning, or I'm just pointing towards a student and say, Elif, let's show your crayons. What color are they? And then I will ask another student. And then maybe I can ask, Elif, tell me what color, for example, are Alice crayons right now. So see, distancing prompts are used here. Okay, hocam, by the way,
Sezen
let's
hocam.
start this. Yes.
Hocam, if you like, we might stop right now and have a short break, like for 5 minutes, and then we
Okay.
might continue with this the rest of the session.
Okay.
And students, you can use the same meeting ID and password to get connected one more time after 5 minutes. Sezen hocam, is it a good place to stop right now?
Okay. Deal.
Because we still have 2 minutes, hocam.
Okay, hocam, it's very appropriate for me.
Okay. Hocam, then let's have a short break.
Then we can continue. Okay.
Yes, let's sip something hot maybe for you as well.
Okay. Okay.
And the coffee is on the house.
Alacağım olsun o zaman.
Hocam, virtual coffee. Yes, I owe you one, okay?
Okay, hocam. Thank you.
Hocam, see you in 5. Hocam.
Okay.
Okay, Sezen hocam, feel free to start to continue where you just left.
Okay. So can you see the screen?
I can hocam. Yes.
Okay.
It's all clear.
Okay. Okay then. So another question or another problem, let's say, another issue is For example, teacher can say, my students have a limited language proficiency, hocam, so I don't think that I can use dialogues effectively in my language class. Actually, to provide a solution to this, I will recommend using scaffold dialogue activities. So we will see them in detail in the next slide. And also I can say that we can use a variety of multimedia materials to support comprehension because students generally enjoy them and they can benefit from them as well. So as for using scaffolding dialogue activities, I will recommend these three. Maybe these are the most common ones. Sentence starters, for example. So in sentence starters, we can provide sentence starters or prompts to guide students in initiating a dialogue. This could be a culture. For example, I agree with you, but so we can teach this chunk. Just suppose them as a chunk. So we can teach this to our students, like, I agree with you, but, or in my opinion, I think that. I will disagree with you because. So they will not just say, I didn't like this, but they will just explain why they didn't like this, okay? So this is very important. Okay, and the second one is think, pair, share. So students work in pairs because students generally like, especially in the primary classrooms, they really like working with each other, and they will discuss a prompt or question, then share their ideas with the larger group. So they will, use English. But how? So sometimes they can avoid using English as well. So we will have that later. Okay. And another one is fishbowl discussion. Actually, it's a technique. So a small group of students sits in the center of the room and engage in a dialogue while the rest reflects, while the rest, observes that group and reflects on that dialogue. Again, it could be maybe appropriate for a higher level of students in terms of the proficiency. So, drawing in this second one, think, pair, share. Maybe this could be a problem, actually. I said that because some students avoid using English and they have tendency to use Turkish, unfortunately. So, what if my students use English? So use Turkish while they are speaking, while they're exchanging some information in the groups. What will we do? Here, the most important thing is to assign them some specific roles. Like what? Like facilitator. For example, one will be facilitator. That facilitator, or in other words, leader, manager, this person will coordinate work or ensure that work is done. Okay. The second role could be scribe, secretary, or writer. That person will take some notes and, that person will just prepare reports. The other person will be presenter, summarizer, or spokesperson. That person will present results to other groups and prepare answers. So everyone will have some certain specific roles. Timekeeper, for example, there is a student with some misbehavior maybe in our classrooms, and we can make him or her as timekeeper. So he or she will just keep the time, monitor time, and will be responsible from the planning. The fifth role can be checker of everything. Or sometimes maybe you can assign a role that refers to checking whether native language is used or not. For example, Turkish language checker could be another role, depending on your context as well. So that you can actually prevent them to use Turkish among them. So here, actually, you will see more and more roles. For example, the other role is reflector. So the reflector listens to what other students say and then explain it back and asking the original speaker if the interpretation is correct. So this all depends on the the activity's nature and the context of our settings. And another problem could be, what if my students talk too much then? Because generally, when we establish some group work, unfortunately, the noise is unavoidable. So if we manage our students in a controlled way. So one student per group, again, could be responsible, like as noise monitor or quiet captain. So again, actually, we will give our students responsibilities. Of course, we are the kings and, you know, the queens of our classrooms, but we need to give the responsibility to our students as well. Because at that time, if we give the responsibility to our students, then they, you know, they will be assigned a very holy, you know, responsibility, and they are expected to do this. Otherwise, if all of the responsibility, you know, belongs to the teacher, then they may not obey the rules, because generally they have the tendency to show resistance to the students, teachers' words, teachers' rules. So just think about this perspective. Okay, we talk about the group also. Overall, we can just say dialogues and conversations are very different from each other. Dialogues have a purpose. Dialogues rely on because and reasons and arguments, justifications, but conversations are just, you know, flow. They come and go. They don't go anywhere. They don't have any purpose. They are like, you know, icebreakers. And the second aspect is supportive environment. So we need to motivate our students, because motivation is everything. But in order to make it possible, you need to be positive towards your students. You need to be welcoming, because you are just representing the foreign language as a prospective language teachers. And the third one is reciprocality. So in order to establish this mutuality between answers and questions, you need to simplify the instructions, you need to divide them into pieces, and you need to, what else, rephrase the students' words. So dialogic teaching actually is that simple. It's not that accomplishable. Actually, it's not impossible. Actually, it can be very accomplishable, achievable. We can do it in our classrooms, further classrooms, maybe not the whole, but some aspects can be implemented. So if you have any questions, actually, I will be very glad to respond them.
Sezen Hocam, thank you so much for this fascinating and very informative talk.
Thank you, Hocam.
Hocam, actually, it was like a summary to what we were, to what we have been discussing for like the spring term. We have this elective course called New Approaches English Language Teaching. And I've seen lots of actually familiar terms, like, especially there was also a kind of an answer to an exam question, think, pair, share. I described the activity, I just asked the name in a fill in the blanks activity. Probably students might just recognize the question.
Yeah, most probably.
And before I forget, Hocam, I'd like to congratulate you on successfully, making your project passed. Happy for
Thank
you.
you. You are one of the members. Also, I congratulate you as well.
Hocam, yes, you're passing good news today. You're making us happy.
Maybe this is your luck.
Probably it's not my luck, Hocam. So, our students, but by the way, most of our students right now are from the second grades, Hocam. So, I'm gonna actually pass the information to the third and fourth graders. As you just said, I guess the project is directly for the third and fourth year students.
Yes, in
So
September, they
much
will
more-
be third grade
Yeah,
students.
okay.
Yes.
Next year they'll be third, hopefully, if they just pass this
Hopefully.
approaches and methods course. So any questions for Sezen Hocam? You can use the chat box, or if you can dare to speak, we'd like to hear from you directly. You can just
It's so
unmute
clear.
your microphone.
It's so clear.
Murajam, I guess, do you have any questions about dialogic teaching, how it might be implemented?
Nope, all clear.
Okay. So I'm going to
Thank
include
you.
some questions from the session in the final exam. Then we're going to see to what extent it was clear or not.
Okay.
But hocam, I promised them earlier, I'm not going to ask any questions about the session, so I can't keep my promise. But actually, there were lots of important points where we face dilemmas, like especially like giving instructions, hocam. This is something I often observe while actually offering these teaching language skills courses. We have these micro teaching sessions, and often students think everything is fine because their your classmates actually role play as students. But when they're in the real classrooms in the fourth year for teaching practice, then things get quite difficult.
Yeah, actually,
That-
instructions are very problematic. For example, when I remember back to my teaching days, the first days of my teaching, when I was appointed as a teacher, I had really difficult times when I was giving the instructions, because then I realized that I use very lengthy instructions, very long instructions. And as the time goes by, actually, I learned how to give the instructions.
Especially what I like most is, breaking down these, lengthy instructions into smaller chunks.
Yeah,
It was quite actually directive and guiding, especially for early beginners. Let's say if you're working at a primary school, this is quite good actually.
yeah, yeah. In the
And
primary
just please, John, go ahead.
In the primary school, actually, the attention span is too short and the students can be lost anytime. So you say one sentence and they can, forget it easily. So you need to repeat the instruction all the time. Now open the page, open the page. Okay, now open the page, for example. So
Perfect.
you need to be patient and you need to give the waiting time.
Hocam, if I'm not wrong, I also remember that you suggested this something like multimodality, like actions, gestures, plus,
Yeah.
the verbal talk. Because which also supports what you say, makes things clear, maybe classroom instruction. And saying this, hocam, we have a question from Rumeysa Yücel.
Mhm.
As teachers, how can we improve our ability to ask dialogic questions in the classroom? A very general but quite important question, Sezen hocam.
How can teachers improve
Yes,
their
to ask
ability?
these dialogic questions, right? Engaging questions.
Actually, this is a culture, and it cannot be, happening in just one night. Rümeysa hocam, by the way, I know Rümeysa hocam very well. So thank you very much for this question. Actually, this is a culture. You can learn it, but it can take some, time to practice it. So first we need to start with not by asking too many yes or no questions, because we have this tendency. Maybe it is very simple to ask such questions like, do you like this? Do you like that? Or did you like this? Did you like that? So yes, no questions. We have this tendency. But after this yes, no questions, maybe we can just try to say, for example, in what sense or why or how questions. Then, believe me, our students will be getting used to it as well, because it's a culture and every culture takes some time to be implemented. So this will take time, but at the very end, this will be working.
Hocam, thank you so much for this great
Well,
response to the question. But especially, I'd like to emphasize one more time the learning culture. This is a quite important thing. And as you just said, it won't happen overnight. It takes time. And it also requires some kind of effort on the part of teachers.
yeah, students will be getting used to it, teacher will be getting used to it, so it cannot happen overnight, as you can mention that.
Sezen hocam, at one point in your slides, you mentioned the integration of technology into classes. How might do you think technology might facilitate this dialogic interaction in the classroom? Do you have any, or do you know any certain tools or websites where we might use in classrooms to create some?
Yeah. For example, I use this mind mapping tools to trigger dialogic questioning. Actually, yes, it can be also implemented, manual by just drawing it onto a board. But younger generations like this technology very much. AI, for example, nowadays is there is this hype. And what else? We have some kind of applications as well. For example, you can just create your character with one application, and then, for example, you just write a script, and that application can voice it. And again, this can trigger dialogic teaching or dialogic questioning, because actually we can make this, we can, implement this manually as well. But when we reflect it into the applications, I mean, when we reflect it into the technology, the students could be more motivated. So this kind of applications could be used, like mind mapping or character generating or some other tool like this.
Yeah, there are lots of features. Sometimes I also share some, AI tools where they can also practice their English and ask questions on anything. Thing hocam, on anything. The subject is limitless.
Yeah.
Sezen hocam, we have a follow-up question from one of our star students, Gazi. Gazi says, in crowded classes, if you ask open-ended questions, wouldn't it be difficult to maintain time? Or I guess he's concerned about the time management.
Yes, that's a very good question, actually. Crowded classrooms is a very big problem for us. But I mentioned, actually, I emphasize in my slides group works. So group works can help us here. We can make our, students into groups, and we can assign them some roles. So then this could be helpful. But otherwise, in crowded classes, individual questions can take lots of time.
So I guess Gazi, that answers your question. Hocam, I think you have a stalker, Ömer Salih.
Yeah, Ömer Salih is my student from here, from Bandırma Eylül
I
University.
know, hocam, from
I
English
like
session.
it very
He was
much.
super hyper active.
Yeah, so you see, this is the culture, actually. I try to implement the positive aspect of dialogic teaching in my classrooms.
It's quite good, hocam. So if there are no questions, we might just end the session.
Okay, so maybe you can save my email, sezenarslan@bandırma.tr, and you can just get access to me via this email as well if you have any questions. So I will be very glad. And please stay tuned with me because we will conduct our project very soon.
Sezen
And it
hocam,
will be
thank you so
online.
much for sparing your valuable time at this
You
time
are
of
welcome.
the day.
You are
I
welcome.
really appreciate, and it was quite pleasure for hosting you here with our students, with some colleagues, your students as well.
Thank
So
you very much.
hope to see you in other sessions, hocam, maybe in the future with other topics.
Of course, why not? Why not? Thank you very much for your nice kind
And you might also
invitation.
tell us about your experience in the new department. Because I guess I forget to mention it previously, you work at one Yüzüncü University in the field of English language teaching.
Yeah.
So in a maybe future session, we might just delve into this issue in a more detailed way. But
Okay.
for now, I'd like to say good evening to everyone and thank you for joining. Sezen hocam, thank you so much.
Thank you, hocam. You are welcome. So have a good evening, everyone. Take care.
Bye bye hocam. Take care. See you.